Hello, welcome back to Man v Film. We have spoken before about FOMO, and I want to talk a little bit more about myself collecting and a little bit of the hypocrisy that I see creeping in within myself. One of the things that really interests me as a collector or just as a human being is the psychology of what we do. Why do we do things? Now, I just speculate on this matter, whether I strike a chord or not, I don't know. But one of the things that really surprised me recently was the announcement of a UHD of The Guest, released by Second Sight Films. One of my favourite movies this century, being released by one of my favourite boutiques. I was ecstatic. It was more than I could hope for. I love that film. I'm in for whatever it is. Whatever it costs, I'm willing to get it. Then we get an announcement on social media that it's going to be £50, that it's coming with the Blu-ray, UHD, new transfers, new grades for both formats, 160-page book, soundtrack CD. It has a lot with it. And you started to see a little bit of a split between collectors on their Twitter page. Some people really berating them because the price was too high, other people was just fanatically buying. And to be honest, I could see the point of both people here. But one thing I really appreciated, one thing that I thought was great, was that Second Sight Film comes out and addressed it. You know, the reason it's this price is because we acquired soundtrack, it costs a little bit more. They're bringing out a limited set. They're going to bring out a standard set further on down the line. But it's this psychological element, I feel, this compulsion that I want to touch upon and I'll get to in a minute, is the fact that the movie's going to be available. Whether you want to buy the expensive limited edition or the standard edition further on down the line, you're going to be able to get your hands on it. It's just that there's a little bit of prestige, a little bit of a euphoric feeling of getting that title the moment it's released. You know, if you have to wait for the standard edition further down the line, it's not as empowering, it's not as joyful. Somehow it's lost its luster. It's just a weird feeling, you know, and it's not, I don't think it's the price point, because we've seen price points like this with other UHD titles, whether it be the Studio Canal ones. You know, they released Total Recall, that was £50. I think the Basic Instinct may have been round about that as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. So you had these movies that were this big price point, that were asking a lot, and they gave you stuff with it as well. But I never heard anything or anyone going on about these titles. It just seems to be The Guest and Second Sight that are getting a little bit hammered for this. And I got to wonder, what is the attraction? Why is getting something the day it's released the most valuable for these kind of titles? You know, why, if you don't get it on day one, it's worth less? The product's not changed. If you don't like the limited edition, you just wait longer. You're going to get the standard edition. It's not going to harm anything. It's not a new movie. It's a film that you've probably seen before. It came out in 2014. It's been around for a while. I've got a Blu-ray of it. I got it as soon as it came out. It's available. It's not a movie that I haven't seen before. I'm looking forward to the new extras and the new transfer. I think that's going to be great. Brilliant. If for some reason it gets delayed, it doesn't matter. I have the movie here that I can watch if I want. If I wasn't as big a fan of it as I was, I could quite easily just wait 6 months down the line and get the standard UHD of it. It's no biggie. But there's this perceived gravitas in getting that day one when it doesn't matter. There's 5,000 copies of The Guest limited edition. If it sells out immediately, I'd be happy. As a fan of the movie, I want to see that kind of love go its way. I like Second Sight. I'd be happy for their business model to get that influx of money to pay off the gamble they've taken on this movie. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. As collectors, we should be focusing on the film. If you get the film day one, great. If you get it 3 months down the line, fine, as long as you get it and enjoy it for what it is. It's not about that immediate moment of release where you have to get something. I think I've seen the limited model drive this further as we kind of chase after that perceived clout of getting something immediately. And if you miss out, you miss out. It's just one of these things. It's not going to have a detrimental effect to our lives not getting something immediately. Yet for some reason we have that strange psychological moment where we feel a little bit sad, a little bit depressed for not getting something. And it's down to the community. We have done it to ourselves. We are driving this demand, this perceived notion of winning if you get something immediately. And financially, it's a big ask. You cannot get everything. I've come to the conclusion that, unfortunately, as much as I would love to get everything, it's just not feasible financially and time-wise. I don't have the time to devote to everything, and I definitely don't have the funds to go and buy everything. But it doesn't mean that me or my collection is devalued in any way whatsoever. It just means that, well, I'm just going to have to wait a little bit longer to get a movie that I want. But breaking these habits is key, and seeing just people on social media, like if you're not first for something, it's secondary, it's unimportant after that fact, just feels derogatory and puts in those negative connotations within the collecting community. You know, you shouldn't have to rush out and buy something just because it's limited and just because other people are gravitating towards it. There are titles that I've missed out on that haven't bothered me. There are other titles I've missed out on that just give me a little twang of, I wish I'd got that. But ultimately, I don't think about them. Very rarely do I think about these movies or packages that I've missed out on. It doesn't matter. It's all perception. It's all driven by the online community. It's all driven by these negative connotations, and it doesn't matter. We are all individuals. It's not about a post on a social media site to say that you've got something first. It doesn't matter. There's so many copies of it. If you're happy to wait, wait. If you can't afford it, then that's fine. There's better things for your money to be going on rather than these superfluous packages that are nice, but they're not the most important thing. I feel somewhat conflicted with this release. I love The Guest. I am getting it because I want it. Not because of the communities harassing me or forcing me to get it. I'm getting it because it's simply a movie that I utterly love and I want. I still feel bad about the Battle Royale set, a set that I went on because of FOMO, one that I tried to push against and ultimately got. And to be honest, it's a kind of anchor. This is a different version of that. This is something that I want to have in my collection that will be ripped open immediately and thrown on the TV to watch. I feel a little bit sad about the way the community's heading. You know, we're used to be about the movies. We kind of have lost that, and it's become more and more about the packages, more about limited editions, and more about being first. It doesn't matter. It means nothing. There's no gravitas in being the first person to say something or to have something. It simply just does not matter. Enjoy the movies for what they are. You're going to sit at home with your family, friends, and soak up a good movie. And they're not going to bother whether you got that the first day it came out or 2 years down the line. It's just this world and environment, this ecosystem that we live in, that's starting to become more and more toxic. Break free from it. make your own decisions. If you love the guest, get it. If you don't or are happy to wait, wait. It's not the end of the world. I'd love to know your thoughts on this topic, because I know you guys have a good grasp in reality, some people more than others. And as I try to convince myself to break free of these shackles that the community has put on me, you guys definitely help. Thanks for listening to me ramble on about this. Thanks for taking part in this video, commenting. I appreciate it. There is, of course, videos up here that you can click onto if you want to see more of my content. And if you think I deserve it, hit this video with a like, subscribe, maybe even join the membership program or the Patreon. It really helps the channel run. Thank you. Bye.